systems of probation and parole are just contributing to intergenerational poverty. Historically, probation and parole was about trying to help people get back on their feet after they've been incarcerated. It used to be about employment and housing and healthcare. Probation and parole, as it's currently organised, doesn't do that. It just extends suspicion and criminalisation even after people have paid their debt to society. There are three big failures of the current system of probation and parole. Number one, it doesn't really help people get back on their feet after they've been convicted of a crime, after incarceration. The second thing is that it's a recidivism trap. People who are on probation and parole, they're at higher risk of going back to prison, not because they commit new crimes, but because of things called technical violations. You may miss a meeting, you may fail a drug test. A lot of people on probation and parole are struggling with substance use problems, and they're sent back to prison for these crimeless violations. And then the third big problem with probation and parole, and we scanned the literature pretty carefully here, it doesn't reduce crime. If we want to help people succeed after they've been to prison, we as a matter of public policy have to be welcoming. If we were to reimagine probation and parole, go back to its historic mission, there are three big areas I think that we need to work on. The first big area is income support. There are very, very high rates of poverty among people who are involved in the criminal justice system. And people need a basic floor of economic stability underneath them in order to become fully fledged and successful members of their community. Second part is healthcare. People are in serious need of medical care. There's a very high rate of chronic conditions among people involved in the criminal justice system, but there are also really serious needs for substance use treatment and mental health treatment. And the third part is housing. A very, very high rate of housing instability, a lot of doubling up with family members when people are first released from incarceration. Supporting people's economic opportunities when they come out of prison, they're on probation and parole, is just common sense. People can succeed, they can thrive and flourish when they're economically stable, and they can think about a future not just for themselves but for their children as well. There are lots of statistics about how the system is failing, about how big the system is, how much racial disparity there is. The risk of poverty is twice as high as in the general population. Risk of unemployment is 3 times as high, twice as more likely to be on government assistance compared to the general population. Underneath all of that, there are real people, real families and communities that are struggling to be safe and secure. And probation and parole is not helping them in that task, in that very human struggle. That, at the end of the day, is what we're trying to achieve. We're trying to help people with that human struggle for safety and security in their lives.
Damn, now, what this guy was talking about was some real ass stuff, you know what I'm saying? Because it do seem like the system isn't designed to help them. Think about some of these kids that do stupid shit when they're a teenager and they go to prison until they're in their 20s, late 20s, late 30s, 40s, you know, and then they get out. And then we also seen some conditions where these prisons really treat them like animals and dogs. So it's like a teenager can have a whole completely outlook of life once they have a good system behind them, and you know what I'm saying, their little mess up don't determine who they is if they was in a bad state of mind. So I kind of understand what he mean by this. As far as in adults that get older, maybe they learn, maybe they don't. But I know kids shouldn't have their life taken away.